Welcome to the Tangent Gentleman. Each week, Scott and I start with a topic we decided on from the previous episode, then we see where the conversation takes us. Along the way, questions, ideas, and disagreements will spark tangents, and from that tangent list, we'll decide on next week's discussion. And from last week, we have, for our topic this week, loyalty.
Yes, this will be interesting. I thought it was going to be easier to research and put together some ideas, but I kind of struggled with it. What about you?
Well, yeah, so when it came up last week, I was thinking, this is kind of a simple concept. Are we going to be able to kick off a podcast? Are we going to be able to pull off a podcast on loyalty? Then when you start digging in, some different things start, it's not as simple as you initially might think.
So here's where I kept going down, and I kept trying to get away from this, like my own personal loyalty or loyalties versus the concept of loyalty. Did you have that similar struggle, or which way did you go, or what did you do with it?
Man, I kind of bounced all over the place. That's why I'm interested to see where this goes, because, all right, well, I kind of start.
Okay.
We both worked 30-ish years for the same institution, right?
Yeah, we did.
So, and that's in education. So I kind of was thinking, and I guess this is just like one of those old man things, but
let me also interject this.
Okay.
That institution, well, if you talk about JCPS, but specifically at Fairdale High School, that institution is also the high school you went to.
Right.
A big part of that was you attended. So it was even more loyalty for you. But
But as I got into that, and we can get back to that, I don't think, when I really start digging, I don't think it was any loyalty to an institution. I mean, I think Fairdale High School was important to me, but I think probably what kept me in education, and it's probably true for most people in education, I guess it'd be loyalty to the principle or the mission of education itself.
Yeah,
more than the institution. If something, it wasn't that I had to work for Jefferson County Public Schools or work at Fairdale High School, but I felt like I was in an important profession that I was loyal to.
Yeah. So did you ever have the sort of chance or opportunity or inkling to leave Jefferson County or to go teach or work somewhere else? Did you ever have that inkling or opportunity?
I did before I was hired from JCPS. So, and I kind of held out on that in another school district, waiting to see what happened with JCPS. So I guess that would be kind of loyalty to the institution. But really, when I think back, I was, at that time, I was coaching at Fairdale High School. So I was hoping to land my first teaching job there, but I ended up at Doss High School in the same school district.
Okay. Because we were at Fairdale for a few years. My wife and I both taught there. We were dating, and then we got married and we're teaching there. And we were involved in this group that was based out of the Northeast, and she's from New York City. And we had an opportunity. We had two opportunities associated with that. One was to teach in Egypt for like 2 years, take this job in Egypt.
Wow.
And I was more hesitant than she was. I felt like I didn't think she would be real comfortable teaching in a pretty strict Muslim nation. I thought that would have been really tough for her. And she didn't really see that as an issue. And then secondly, we were offered pretty much, we weren't officially offered a job, but it was known that there was a small school district north of the city in Croton. The city's called Croton on the Harmon, which is a little burg northeast of the city, and it's where West Point is. I don't know if you've ever been to that area.
Yeah.
Where
No, I haven't.
And they were like, we'll hire you right now, a math and science teacher. And we seriously looked into it, and I just had a really hard time, and I think it was like a sense of family loyalty.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to leave. Like my family lived here. My brothers and sisters lived here. My dad still lived here.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to leave that part of it. And then also just the economics of it all. Because it was like, oh, you'll be starting as teacher salary. And it was just, it was triple what I was making in JCPS. And I thought, that's crazy. And then I looked into it, and houses cost 5 times what they cost in Louisville. And, and I'm like, taxes were twice as much. And I was like, suddenly that 3 times as much is not quite as appealing.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know how I would do back to, a few podcasts ago. I mean, it was like it was close to New York City, but it was like a town of like 25,000.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I don't know how to do in that little burb, so, but I don't know. So I don't know. I think there was some sense of familial loyalty or community, my friends and network here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that factored into my early career decisions and life decisions. But so I started thinking about, like you asked if I think about myself. I did. I thought about a long career with the same institution. I thought about, I got married at 24 and, still married to the same lady today at 58. So, all these things that would be considered being loyal to someone or something over the years. And what I was going to say about feeling like an old man, I started thinking, I don't know that people are as loyal today. So I kind of started digging into that, because I first started thinking about, I was thinking about those two things, a long marriage and a long career with the same institution. And then in my mind, I was thinking today, there's a lot more job hopping and there's a lot more divorce. But I started digging in to see if numbers would agree with this. And divorce rates for every 1,000 married, I think it was women for some reason, married women in 1980, that year, 22.6 of those 1,000 women got divorced. 1980.
Okay.
2015, 16.9. 2020, 14.9. 2024, 14.2.
Interesting.
So the divorce rate percentage, has gone down. But so then I started thinking, okay, but do people get married now?
That was my first question. That's what I had.
And they don't. So married adults in 1960 was about 72% of the population. In 2024, depending on where you look, it's 47 to 50%. So about half the adults are married today, and they're getting married later. It was in 1960, it was 20 years old, and 2024, it's almost 29 years old.
Okay. That would have been my thought. That they don't. People aren't getting. It's not as common to get married. As it was.
But then it got me thinking, okay, does that mean young people today are any less loyal? Or does it mean they're just making better decisions and taking marriage more seriously because the divorce rate is going down? So, what's it mean when you talk about loyalty there?
Yeah, I think people are, obviously, we only know the experience we have. I think amongst my kids who are adults and their friends, it's a much more gradual progression to like, this is my life partner type thing. I think so. I guess you could argue they're making better choices, a more studied, a more learned choice. To the job piece, like I find this to be I don't know if you've had this conversation with your kids, but the idea of loyalty to an employer is just both my kids, and my kids are good, whatever workers, whatever that means. I mean, they go to work, they show up, they're there, they do their jobs, whatever. But they do have this sense of like, oh yeah, I don't have any responsibility to my job. I do my job. I do when I'm at work, I get paid, and when I'm not at work, I don't. And if I leave, we had this experience. We were on a road trip. We went into a fast food restaurant, and it was pretty close. It was, I'll say it was 9:30, and they closed at 10. And we got our food, and we were, I said, I kind of want to get a refill because we're on the road, and I'd like get going. Someone's like, yeah, you don't want to do that, Dad. It's almost closing time. They don't want to have to do that. And I'm like, but I'm a customer, and I paid $2 for this drink, and I would like to have more of it to go. Yeah, but it's almost quitting time. And I'm like, it might be this artificial almost quitting time, but I'm still a customer, and I'm still in this. They're open. And it was just this idea that at 10 o'clock or whatever the quitting time, whatever the ending time for that business was, all things associated with that business are over. And it's unrealistic for you to think this person should do more. And it just struck me as really odd, because I wasn't asking them to stay till an hour and a half after the place closed. I was basically asking them to work up until closing time.
Yeah.
But my son was like,
it would depend on the employee though, too. If somebody was if somebody really felt like, it was important to them to be of service to people at their restaurant, they wouldn't mind. Right. But somebody else that can't wait to get out of there would mind.
So this was the curious thing, and it cycles back to some of my research. It was at a Chick-fil-A, okay? And the number one restaurant I found in terms of customer reported loyalty, fast food restaurant, was Chick-fil-A. And what surprised me is I'm standing there at, we'll say it was 9:55. And there were several Chick-fil-A employees who walked right past me and never said, and I'm standing there, obviously in cup refill position, and they walked right past me. And eventually I got a refill. And I was telling this to my son as we were, back on the road. He's like, well, was it a person in a blue vest or blue shirt? I said, yeah. He goes, well, that was a manager. They get paid for an hour after. The people in the red shirt, they don't. So why would they do more work for you? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm the customer and they want to do a good job. He's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. And it just really struck me this is a place where I think most people would say they are well-trained employees and it's their pleasure. They say that all the time. My pleasure to serve you, or, whatever phrases they say. But yet the same applied to this group of people. They were not going to go, they weren't even going to go up to, I'm not talking over and above. I'm talking, it's 9:59. And my son was like, yeah, Dad, but if they give you tea, they probably already cleaned the tea urns or the tea maker or whatever out. And, they probably only got one thing of tea left, and they don't want to give out refills to people. And it was just interesting to me that, and my son we were absolutely on different sides of this conversation.
So this is going to be a tangent, I think, but it's one I thought about quite a bit, and it's something I felt like I saw changing over time. Do you think you hear a lot more about self-care now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
the work-life balance.
Yeah, but something that's come out of that is, self-care should not, it shouldn't equate to selfishness.
Right.
But a lot of people are being taught, when you start hearing someone talk about, hey, you need to take care of yourself, part of being happy and feeling good about yourself, and to me, I think it's very much doing for others. and trying to help other people around you, and just making things better for all of us. But a lot of what you hear about self-care, I think it's being heard and translated into just selfishness. Just
I agree, and I can think of several examples in my life of this. I don't want to get too much into the details of this, but it's in essence a shared responsibility for care for a person, and people to whom that share should be equally divided say, well, I can't do that. I have boundaries. And I'm like, to me, and I'm like you, that just seems like a selfish thing to say. Because we all have boundaries, but you know what? Those boundaries have to be fluid.
Yeah.
They have to change. And because like you said, the goal is to provide, or don't say the goal, but part of the human experience is to help take care of each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes take care of you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and it's. I mean, there definitely are boundaries. I'm not, you've got to take care of yourself, but it's just, if you're never going to be happy in life, if you're always just looking out for number one.
Yeah, but the curious thing is there are also people that I have this conversation with, and it doesn't really seem like that. It seems like they are willing to do enough or more than what they see as their share, but they still also set a limit on that. And I do think that is healthy. I do think.
No, that's what I was saying. I must have said it wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. I didn't. I probably just didn't state it.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah. You said it right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. That I do have this concern, with my younger son is moving into a profession where there is seems to be this idea of the 80-hour work week is expected.
Yeah,
and I have concern about that because I think the 80-hour work week, I got to make partner, I got to climb the corporate ladder. I don't think that's really a healthy atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to your point, if you want to, I don't know, I mean, because I think for you and I, in our respective professions, we were never teachers that said, well, it's 2:30. I'd love to help you, but sorry.
Yeah.
Like that, we just didn't do that. If kids said, hey, I need help in geometry, you'd say, well, you can come by after school, and you help them, And or if someone said, I need you to help with, JV football or, this school event, you didn't say, well, will I be paid my hourly rate? That was just not a conversation you had, because it was like, I want to help make this a better place.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think most people that go probably into any public sector work like education are probably somewhat service oriented or servant minded, to some point. That's why when I really started digging in, loyalty and education to me wasn't with the institution. It really wasn't with the people. I mean, I was loyal to the people, but when you work in a high school, people change every year. The students always change. It's a rotation constantly, and a lot of the teachers do.
Yeah.
So really, the number one thing you're loyal to is just the idea you're in an important profession, and you got this mission to help kids live better lives and educate kids.
Yeah.
When you say it's the case.
Yeah, that was the case. And I think as you and I got later in our careers, and we became in more of a, I mean, you were definitely administrator. I was kind of sort of an administrator, but it's the same idea, but it's with teachers. Like the staff, the faculty is going to change year to year, but I want to help each of these teachers become the best version of themselves as it relates to being the best person they can be for a classroom full of kids. And so it was not really loyalty to that specific person per se, but it was creating loyalty to the atmosphere, creating the best environment for kids. So,
yeah. So, I was just thinking back to your experience in the Chick-fil-A. So at what point, how do you decide when loyalty to others or loyalty to a person becomes disloyalty to yourself? We talked about a lot of times we think self-care now is being misunderstood as I need to be selfish and just think about myself. Mm-hmm. There's obviously a point where loyalty can go further than it should. When does it become disloyalty to you as a person, yourself?
Well, my personal thought on it is, and it goes back to our conversation we had about morals. There is a good moral strata or a good self-care strata needs to have a sense of humility and conversation with the people you're involved with. Like you can't say black and white without a doubt, I only will be there 15% of the time, and that's all I can do. I mean, you can say that, but then I should be able to come back to you and say, well, I understand that's what you need, but sometimes I'm going to need 20%. Can we work out a way where you can do 20%, whatever, one day a week or whatever the thing is? I feel like that is where the line between self-care and selfishness has to exist. Because if it is absolutely my way and only my way, that's selfish. I mean, that is by the very definition selfish.
Yeah.
Whereas self-care is, hey, I want to do everything I can to help this situation, but I also have to do things for myself. Okay, yeah. I understand that because we all do.
Yeah, I'm a human.
I think the balance is in the conversation, to where you have a conversation about, okay, because the thing is, there is 100% of the need. If you draw the absolute and say, I can only do 15%, well, if you're one of 5 people, that means somebody's doing more than 20%,
Yeah.
And that is selfish, I mean, that is selfish. And I mean, I say that as a person that, when my father got older and needed care, we divided up the care. My sister did the lion's share of the care. I mean, her percentage was definitely more than 33%. Yeah. But we had a conversation about each of us and where we were and what we could do. And that's what we agreed upon. But I think in the end, we all felt like we did our part,
Yeah. Well, it's probably because you trust one another, and that's a big part. I mean, doesn't there need to be some trust for there to be loyalty?
Yeah, that was one of the things I was coming up to, like the idea of times when you have been, or myself, I'll say, times when I have been disloyal, or times when I felt as if someone else has been disloyal to me, and which is like worse? Is it worse to be crossed? Like, man, I can't believe so-and-so let me down like that. Or do you do it? Is it more painful to do it to someone else?
Oh, wow.
That's kind of the, because I mean, as much as I don't know, I'm presuming this is true for you. There are times when I have not been loyal. Like I've decided I'm going to do X. And then I decide, well, like, it's funny. So there's this local deli that I really like. And in a conversation with a friend of mine, they did a thing. And it was pretty crappy what they did to my friend. A friend is involved in these civic activities. And this deli did kind of a crappy thing to them. And she's like, well, you need to stop going there because, they're not good civic partners or, community members or whatever. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I told my family that story. I'm like, look, just so y'all know, I'm not going back there anymore. And they're like, okay, Dad, we'll agree. We won't go there anymore. And then like 5-6 weeks later, my son's like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? He's like, I went back to Good Belly. I was like, you did? He's like, yeah, it was really good, Dad. And anyway, within like a month, I'm like convincing myself that whatever good that was happening by me not going to this place, like that's done. Like they've suffered enough for their civic transgression, and I need to go back and support them because I like this place and it's a small, independently owned place, and I want it to stay open.
Yeah.
But that was a case of like, so I had this thing like, and so a friend of my friend, I saw her a week or two or so after I started going back, and something came up about lunch, and I was like, do I tell her? Do I tell her that? Because it was like I was disloyal to her, right?
Yeah.
But I was loyal to the business because I want the business to stay open. I want that type of business in my community. But that was a case where, I mean, it's kind of a trivial case, but it was a case of where I was like, I had this conflict of loyalty.
What'd you do?
I decided that I'd go there. I went there this week.
No, I mean, what'd you do? Did you tell her?
No. It actually has. It's kind of funny because something else came up about another place that we had talked about, and I expressed concern about a place, and she had mentioned how she had gone back there, and I was like, oh, well, I guess her loyalty to me is less than her loyalty to that place. So I guess that's what I was getting at. Which do you suffer more? Like your conflict of being disloyal, or finding out that someone's been disloyal to you? Like, which is a bigger that I don't know. That's what I said. That's where it kind of became way too personal, and I was just like, I don't know. So,
that's tough.
So,
but that brought up several things that I was thinking about. We can talk about, but I wanted to throw out another thing. We talked about job hopping. So I found out 1983, the median years that people had with their current employer was 3.4. 50% over that, 50% less. 1991 was 3.6, 2000 3.5, 2010 4.4, 2012 4.6, and 2024 3.9. So people aren't really job hopping more than they used to, which was surprising to me because, and that got me thinking back to like our topic talks about social media. Is it just because we see so many more job changes now? Because I thought for sure people job hop, and I've heard before that like somebody graduating college now is going to have like, I don't know what the number is, but 9 different jobs, something like that. Right. But then here's what was interesting. One more thing that's really interesting in 2024. People that work in the public sector, their median years with current employer was 6.2 in 2024. In the private sector, it was 3.5. Almost, nearly double.
Yeah. Right.
Which kind of goes back to that idea of providing some service to others must be rewarding if you stay in that.
Right. I think if you go in for me personally, when I started teaching, I had left. I was doing something else before teaching, and I was going to be like a research scientist, and in pharmacology, drug research. So I had a very good knowledge of drugs and how they worked, and medical type stuff, and I started teaching, and the first couple of years of teaching is tough. I mean, it's a tough job to figure out. And I had a friend that worked in medical sales, and he said, "Hey, I can get you a job. You want to be a pharmaceutical sales rep? I know people. You'll make double what you're making or whatever. I don't know what the number was." And I thought about it for a while, a lot, and I was like, okay, well, so then I'm going to make more money. But am I going to really care? Am I going to feel good about that? And so I talked to my friends that were doctors and said, from your perspective, what's your opinion of drug reps? And it was very negative.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I don't want to do a job where most people view me in a pretty negative light. you know?
Yeah.
Like and I think that went back to the idea that I felt loyal to this principle.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to adhere to it wasn't, my principle was not money, you know? But I mean, I have friends, I have good friends that is their principle. Like they want to make more money.
So which do you think is the highest? Does that count as a principle though? Make more money?
I mean,
I guess so.
It's a principle that it's something that you set value on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the highest form of loyalty? People? Principle? Or what earlier I called mission, or institution?
The highest form. What do you mean by that?
Like, what do you think's the most respectable?
That's interesting. For me, I think it's people.
People?
Loyalty to people. Like knowing that people can count on you, I think is an important, that's a pretty important thing.
All right, so let's do a people versus principle here. What if you find out beyond a doubt, let's say you've seen it. You know that Cindy's been cheating on me. Do you tell me?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
You tell me? Okay.
I think I do. Yeah.
All right.
And now, okay, let me present a different scenario. I say that because, I mean, not that I have any negative opinion of your wife. I am more friends with you than I am with Cindy.
Okay. Yeah.
So if we go the same way, let's say I have friends, and I have several, I suspect you do as well. I have several friends, several couples that I am equal friends with both. I've known them the same amount of time. They've always been a couple. As far as, my relationship with them is person A and person B as a couple. And I find out that person A is, cheating on person B. I don't think I tell person B in that case.
Okay.
So I don't know why. I don't know why that's different, but I feel like it's a me, it's a relationship between me and each of those people.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would tell. I think I would tell you, but I don't know that I would.
All right. Let's make it even crazier.
Okay. That was pretty crazy. Okay. Do I need another drink? Should I make this drink stronger for the next one?
Let's say you found out that one of your sons killed somebody.
Okay.
Do you report it? Does your loyalty fall more to your son or more to society?
I think I want to say it depends, but probably yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I would report it.
Yeah.
I would try very hard to convince them to report it.
What if they were probably going to serve life in prison without parole?
I probably would still be inclined to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm not naive. I don't think that the justice system is fair in every way, shape, or form. But I want to believe that you can get a reasonable treatment in the justice system. If you have, if you are of our socioeconomic strata, you can afford an attorney and you can get good representation. And if you did a thing that is deemed by society, wrong, and has certain consequences, then
So
I think that's what I think.
So you definitely wouldn't help them hide the body then?
Probably not. What about you?
I don't know. I was just
is this where it comes out about?
I was just thinking about that today.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that today, and I was thinking the same thing you did. I would hope that I could get them to come to report themselves, but I don't know if I could. But I also don't know if I could live with knowing that I know that and haven't reported it. I don't know. It'd be tough. Hope it never happens. I don't think it will.
So I know I do this often, but so there's this book, classic Russian literature, Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with this book at all?
Well, I mean, I've heard of it.
You know the name.
Yeah,
you've heard of it. Yeah. So basically, this is like a 400-page book, but I'm trying to distill it down. One of the principles of this book is you can get away with whatever crime you want to commit as long as you're okay with it. That most people get punished or, incarcerated or whatever because of their own, they basically get themselves caught.
Yeah. The guilt and everything goes along with that. I could believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting idea. And moreover, in this book, they go really deep into this idea of social strata, and that the crime that a middle-class person commits is not as heinous if it's done on a lower-class person. And so therefore, it's not the same degree of crime, so therefore it doesn't warrant the same degree of punishment. Which is really pretty twisted.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's, that kind of, again, gets back to your idea of humanity. We all have a bit of humanity.
I mean, how often do we see that play out, though?
Oh, yeah. So often.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, so often.
Yeah. Yeah.
And moreover, back to my point about the justice system, there are very famous cases that we both are aware of, that a lot of people are aware of. People commit murder. And if you get the right attorney, you can construct the right scenario that you're not guilty. You're not found guilty.
Yeah. Sometimes the glove doesn't fit.
That's right. And then you must acquit. Exactly. If you're thinking of a specific case like that one. But yeah, so is that loyalty to a principle? I guess that is loyalty to a principle, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would be.
That's how you would describe that. Yeah.
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 And why? So what makes your loyalty to the principle there? What makes you put that above loyalty to your family?
I guess I'm a big believer in the golden rule. I want there to be a sense of you would do unto me as I do unto you type thing. I want a world where if it was my kid that got killed and somebody knew about it, that they would try to get some sense of. I mean, I don't know. I don't.
That's tough.
It's tough, and yeah. I'm not a believer. We had this conversation on the morality pod. I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't believe it's right to kill another person. And then a lot of people say, "Oh, well, that's justice." I just don't think that's. I don't think that's justice. I think that's, it's just not. I just don't. Yeah. I don't see it that way. But
let me give this one last statistics that I had written down because I wanted to share.
I'm lighting this conversation way up here in a minute, but go ahead.
Okay, I got somewhere I want to go to.
Okay.
We are very abnormal. In recent years, 11 to 13% of people have 20 plus years with their employer. 2 to 4% have 30 plus.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not.
You think about how many people we know that have 25 to 30 years.
Well, education is one of the highest ranking as far as years with employer.
Interesting.
All the public sectors are, but education particularly.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think about the other profession that I'm most familiar with, because I guess I have two or three good friends that are doctors. And they've been doctors for 30 years, but they've not been, one's pretty much had a private practice her whole time, and one's had a private practice, then he worked for a hospital, then he worked for another practice. I mean, so they haven't had this, I wouldn't say they've had the same employer. They've had the same profession, but they haven't had the same employer.
And that's loyalty.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But in both their cases, I mean, they obviously make, in their particular cases, they make a nice living in terms of financial compensation. But they are very good, ethical people. I would say they are principled. They're not doing a bunch of procedures just to make more money, or they don't. I mean, they
want to help people live well.
They want to help people live well. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
I'm curious to see if our light-hearted topic is the same. What was yours?
Sports.
Yeah, mine was too.
Sports.
And here's we're going to be totally different here because I don't understand fandom. I don't. It's totally irrational to me. When my kids,
it's so irrational.
When my kids played sports, of course I'm a huge fan, and I go to every game and I go to every track meet, but I don't understand this loyalty to teams where you go and you're just so loyal to a bunch of strangers out there on the field, and it lasts for years and years.
It is. I've thought about it a lot, and Chris will affirm this. The only crazy, unexplainable, irrational fandom I have is for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah,
and I think it goes back to a sense of loyalty to my brother.
Oh, okay.
My brother who passed away was a Bengals fan. And he kind of raised me to be a Bengals fan. When I was a little kid, we were Bengals fans. We watched, but part of it's regional because in Louisville, Bengals games are on TV a lot. Back when you only had 2 or 3 games on a week, and so we would watch Bengals games, and I got to know the Bengals players and became a Bengals fan. And he said, "Oh, if you're a Bengals fan, you don't like the Steelers and you don't like this team," And so that kind of happened. And then I just became this Bengals fan. And it really is, I'm a pretty rational, reasonable person, I think. I cannot explain my Bengal fandom. But I will say, according to 5 different metrics that StubHub uses, Bengals fans are some of the top 3 most loyal football fans in the NFL.
Is that
I found
right?
that out.
Yeah.
And they went through this whole thing about season tickets, how many season ticket holders they have, how those numbers don't fluctuate with performance. Do they go to games even when the team's performing poorly? How many of their tickets do they resell even if the team's doing well? And Bengals fans they're loyal. They stay with the team. And
so do you think the loyalty is because, does it become part of your identity? Are you Scott Snyder, the Bengal fan, and part of you?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think I am. Yeah,
I think it's a big part of it in fandom. I think about our friend Chris is going to be coming on here shortly. And Cubs fans. It's their identity. I wear a Cubs hat and I'm a Cubs fan. I got a Cubs shirt. It's that's who I am. It becomes part of your identity. And man, they had it rough until a few years back. Kind of like Cleveland Browns.
I think that's part of it. Kind of like we talked about with the gambling thing. You like the joy of winning. You like to win. You've invested in. I've invested so much in being a Bengals fan that if they ever win,
you feel
man, am I going to be there?
Yeah.
I want to be there. I want to. Now, I will say, having said all that, I do find it really odd when fans talk about when they use the word "we." You know, we were so close to winning.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You may have gone to a game.
You don't know any of those guys out there. They're not your friends. They're not your family. They're nobody to you.
Yeah.
They don't even know you exist.
So one of the reasons I think because I used to, and Chris and our friend Nick and our friend Renardo, like I used to hate the Steelers. I hated anything associated with the Steelers. I mean, totally illogical, irrational, just hate, which is not like me. I'm just not that guy. But when I met Renardo, our former coworker Renardo, his brother played for the Steelers for like 9 years. And it was just so weird to me because like at that point, I couldn't hate anymore.
Yeah, because he's such a good guy.
Because this was this man's brother.
Yeah.
And I like this man. He is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hate. I couldn't have that hate anymore. And then funny things have happened over the years. His brother has he always makes sure that Renardo gets an extra Steelers Christmas card, which I get. Which is just funny. But no, you're right. Sports fandom is a sense of loyalty that is so just bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
It's so bizarre. And it's probably really unhealthy if I'm really assessing it.
I've never connected to a team that way that I didn't have a connection to, like with my kids or something like that. I never have. Yeah. It doesn't, I'm a terrible fan, I guess.
See, the irony is when I had kids on teams, whether it was teams I coached, like Little League, or like my sons both played academic, like quick recall and quiz ball, and I coached them, or my older son played lacrosse. My older son was in marching band, and which was a competition at times. I was very analytical and objective on their performances. Like I didn't have this. It wasn't like I wasn't a fan, but I wanted to know that my evaluation of them was objective. Like when I said, they're a good team.
With the purpose of helping them be better, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. These are the reasons why you score well or score poorly, and these are the things we can focus on.
Yeah.
But so I was a fan, but I was much more objective than I am about, again, like the Bengals. I mean, I so
yeah,
I don't know.
You ready to bring Chris in?
I guess so. Bring in the damn Steelers fan. Sure.
Steelers and the Cubbies. And U of L. He's the ultimate fan, man. So we'll have to see. I'm curious to see what he says about fandom, because it's not logical. It's not rational. It's not. I mean, it's just what is it? Why do you feel such a strong connection to a bunch of strangers that you don't know anything about? Is it identity? Is it? I don't know.
6 million people in New York City right now riding high because the Knicks won the championship. So, and they're Knicks though, so.
Where's our friend Chris, man? We're going to have to do our own tangents tonight. Did he get lost?
Oh, he must have.
We'll have to think back and find our own tangents. All right, so let's grade loyalty.
Yeah. I'll go first. I think it's pretty high. I think loyalty is a really important characteristic to have. I think everything about it's important.
Yeah.
Thinking about why you're loyal, thinking about the value of it. So I'm going to give it probably a B+, A-. I think it's an important thing to have in life.
Yep. I agree. I think I'm going to go with B+. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting because I was talking to my wife about it. She's like, well, you should be good with that because you're a really loyal friend. And I was like, why do you say that? She's like, well, you are. And then she said, think about how many people you're friends with that you've been friends with for over 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I continue to be friends. And I mean, sure, there are probably, I don't know, upwards of 10 people, 15 people in that category, you know?
Yeah. So that's why you remember that's one. I think that about you too. That's why one of the previous broadcasts, I said something about, I bet you had a large friend group. You said, no, I really don't. Because I have a small circle of friends. You know, I've got a small circle, but I would say that I'm loyal to everybody I consider a friend.
Yeah.
And I hope they think so.
I agree. I don't know. Hi, Chris.
What's up, man? Where you been? Is our live broadcast lagging or what?
Man, no, I was on it, and then I went to switch over, and I'm having a little internet issue. I actually bought an extender, so I would have stuff in the basement, my signal in the basement just as strong as anywhere else, and the whole internet shut down. So,
well, you know, it's interesting because
I don't know what's going on.
For the first time ever, I got a message popped up on my Google Meet today that said your internet is unstable. Nights, first time it's ever happened.
You were pixelating a few times. Your audio was always fine, but your picture was kind of.
Huh.
So I didn't know if that was on my end or your end.
Nope, it was on my end. It said.
I got to tell you,
apparently your co-op ain't cutting you any more deals. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, at least you're getting money and not having to pay it.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, I got to tell you though, just talking about sports. It's really, when I was younger, I was just a nut. I was a fanatic, just an idiot. But over the last 20 years, it's for me, it's a lot about family and friends and just sharing that loss and that excitement. It's a lot of relationship stuff. My family does the tailgating at Louisville football games. We're season basketball ticket holders last year. And basically it was that's 20 dates with your wife, and mom and dad were sitting right there with us. So it becomes a lot more than sports. And I'm a lot less passionate about it now than I was then, but it's come back to relationships a lot.
It doesn't ruin your day anymore when they lose.
It doesn't ruin the day. It might ruin an hour, maybe an hour. I got to ask you, we love talking on this show, don't we, about fast food restaurants. We got going with Chick-fil-A again, and it just made, like, Scott, you were sitting there and you were telling your story. And I'm like, the my pleasure thing. And I got to admit, I'm like, you go in there and you get my pleasure. You're like, I love it. Thank you. How long does that last? I mean, because one day we're going to tell our grandkids, like, there was Chick-fil-A used to be this restaurant where they said my pleasure, and they were the nicest people in the world. And now it's turned into a Burger King.
I remember when they used to care about their customers. Now they have a terrible system, and you can't even get a chicken sandwich.
It's no more my pleasure. It's like, get the hell out of here. Thanks. Get out.
Hey, 15 minutes to close. You're not getting any more damn tea. Leave.
That's like, have y'all ever gone to the restaurant Dick's?
Oh, yeah. Is that the one where they put stuff on your head?
Where they just treat you like shit?
They're mean to you? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to that.
I haven't been to it either. I've heard about it.
That would be fun. It would be fun. I went... my family went, everybody but me. I wasn't on that particular part of the trip, but Cooper had an inappropriate hat on by the time I saw the pictures. So they write stuff on hats and put it on. I don't even think he knew what it meant, but okay.
He was a youngster.
Yeah. He was a youngster. I'm like, wow.
What do you got for us, Chris?
All right, man. So here's what I got. I've got 4. I like 3 of them. But one thing you guys brought up, we talked a little bit about, kind of hit on generations. So I thought that would be cool to talk about, from just your boomers, your Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and the new one is Gen Alpha, the ones that are all born in all the 2000s, and basically starting with almost right at the same time of the self-facing camera, which is interesting because we talk a lot about self-care tonight. So generations, and that would just be open it up to a lot of things about what other are, what's really true about certain generations, what's really not, and what are some real changes. And I find myself looking back on boomers and wondering, am I becoming more and more of like a boomer? as far as looking at how things are now compared to how they were. But it's just an interesting. So generations, just however we wanted to handle that one. One we talked about, Scott, a couple of times. You talked about, I just call this one missed opportunities. You talked about a couple of different jobs. Made me think about maybe there were some times in your life where some certain things happened and you can, change your life by, when you look back now, a missed opportunity for you, or maybe it was for a friend, Aaron or Cindy or one of your kids. So missed opportunities is the second one. The third one is all on B-Rad. He was Mr. Stats tonight. We had divorce rates. We had people getting married. We had job hopping stats. So what about one?
Were those surprising to you, those stats?
They were a little bit. Yeah. I'd heard that the divorce rate was down. So if I would have guessed correctly on yours, except for the job, I figured more people were job hopping now. But right now it's harder for a college graduate to get a job than in recent history, maybe ever before. So, and that, that's a great example of a stat. Like, people are saying, don't send your kid to college, and look at Elon Musk. He dropped out of college, and, like, what are the real stats say? And, is it good to try to be average person? What is an average person? But there's so many stats. You could bring in a stat to start the podcast next week to see if it's really true or not. Like, who's died more from people, vending machines falling on people or shark attacks? And guess what the answer is? Vending machines falling on people have killed more people than shark attacks each year. So,
when Brad, I'm not like saying Brad's wrong, but when people have stats like that, it always makes me, the mathematician in me and scientist in me is always like, what does that really mean? Like the one you said about the marriage rate, and then you immediately said, yeah, but maybe people, or the divorce rate, well, maybe people just aren't getting married as much.
Yeah. And they weren't. And they're not.
No, they weren't. Right. Well, so that's one for me that just as stats in general, I agree with you, Chris. Like it is fascinating, but I also think it's so easily manipulated, as far as if you want to try to make that case.
Well, you just look at the average thing. There's that story of in the 1950s, they made a airplane pilot seat cockpit the size of the average jet pilot. And what that did was it caused, basically, that means you had the average cockpit and it fit 0 pilots perfectly, which ends up causing a lot of crashes throughout the 50s. And they went to where they could manipulate the cockpit and customize it for various pilots. But sometimes average isn't good. So I just think stats, you could go a lot of ways with it, and maybe you'd want to narrow it down over the week as to what parts of stats you want to talk about. But statistics, man, I love stats. We could go all the way from sports to the average human to the average consumption of this, consumption of that. Be a cool one. And the fourth one, and before I get into that, I will just say, if one of my boys murdered someone, I think it would depend on what kind of murder. Like if I'm like, dang, I think Cade's a serial killer. I probably ought to report this. But like, if he like got into a street fight and the kid hit his head on the concrete, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's think this one out. I don't want him to be want him to be the next serial killer. Yeah. But so the fourth one is just on justice. And you can talk a lot about the courts. We did a little bit. And justice in courts, wrongfully convicted with podcasts and a lot of shows. You've seen a lot of innocent people in jail. Also, just justice that has nothing to do with the legal system that comes into play. But justice, you could go so many directions. And if you wanted to dab into the justice system being weaponized, that could be talked about as too, because that's something that's happened in different countries. That's something that's happened here. But justice as a topic can go in a lot of different directions, would be interesting. So let me just recap. Generations, kind of a wide open one, just kind of pegging basically the 5 generations from boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. To number 2 option here is the missed opportunities. And number 3 is stats. And number 4, justice.
What's your top two, Scott?
Probably the first two. Generations and missed opportunities.
All right, mine was Generations and Justice. That was my top two.
Okay.
So you want to go with Generations? It'd be fun to kind of.
What do you think, Chris?
It'd be kind of fun to stereotype every generation.
Well, I think that's the fun part, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's so
question those stereotypes.
Yeah.
So I had this conversation just this week with my son because I really, I should probably be embarrassed to admit this, but who cares? I really don't understand the delineations of generations because I think it's so, because like technically I am, what am I?
You're a boomer.
I'm Gen X. I'm not a boomer.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah. We're all Gen X.
Right. We're all Gen X. But
so when does the boomer end?
64.
Oh, I thought it was 65.
So I was born 65. So, but I was raised, I mean, like I said before, I'm the youngest of five. I was raised by straight up boomers in every way, shape, or form. Everything about me is boomer like. You know, my pop culture awareness, my sort of position in the global economic system. You know, we had conversations about why D-Day mattered and, you know, stuff like that, you know. And my dad, God love him, would never eat rice. Never.
Didn't own a Datsun either, did he?
No, hell no. But he, and I never knew that until I was like in college and I moved back home and I was cooking my own food and I was like, Dad, I made dinner. I'm not eating that. I'm like, we've never had rice before.
Well, that would be a great comparison because so we all know some boomers and we probably have a little boomer in us, but I guess we do have a little boomer in us, I guess, don't we? but Gen Alpha, how interesting is that? I'm still amazed by.
I never even heard that term.
Yeah, well, it's pretty new. It's pretty new. I was looking at that while you guys were talking, but it was kids that two things like they don't even like 9/11. That's a history book thing for them, right?
Yeah.
They kind of changed things, and then they have grown up their entire life with technology and that self-facing camera. We talked about self-care a lot tonight. That was going to be one of them. I kind of wanted to throw that one in with Generations. That's why I kind of went with that because, sure, we all need a balance in self-care, but it kind of gets on my nerves now. And who knows what anybody really looks like. Tiffany always jokes that if you put some of these girls that are on Facebook, you put that picture on they're wanted because they're missing for the last 5 days, they'd never find them because they don't look a thing like that.
So funny story. My sister where was she? I think she was going to, I think it was she went to Italy. I know she went to Italy, but I think this was related to when she went to Italy. She got a VRBO, and when she checked in, they wouldn't give it to her because she didn't look like the picture.
Yeah.
And because she used a picture of her, like, it was like her high school graduation picture.
Oh, gosh.
And she's 9 years older than me.
Glamour filter on it.
Yeah. And they were like, she said, I had to get out, all this proof of identity because they're like, well, you're not the person we rented this to. And I'm like, well, whatever. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure I will come off as the old guy that I am, but that's okay.
Yeah. We've been doing a oh man, get off my lawn type episode here. Let's just do it.
So
and let's not forget
Generations. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
And let's not forget, let me start by giving my grade for loyalty because we haven't graded the world.
We graded while we were waiting on you to figure out what was going on with the internet.
Let me give mine a. Okay. I should have known. I got to go. I'm going to give it a B because I think there's such a thing as too much loyalty that kind of can hold you back. Heck, I've been at the same school. Not only did I graduate there, but this will be year 32. And I spent 30 of my 32 at Fairdale High School. And honestly, I'm not going to be sad about retiring. It's time. So, there's probably been some missed opportunities, but overall, it's been a blessing. and the people I've worked with and the communities. So it's not an A, but it's definitely above average.
We were close. We had A-, B+, and a B.
Yeah, we did. Nice.
Generations.
So,
hey, what y'all think of this? What y'all think of this light on my forehead here? Can y'all see it?
Yeah,
it's a thing. Yeah.
So
I thought you had some aliens landing.
I was in a second grade classroom one time reading with these second graders, and I kept seeing these two little girls looking at me, and I was like, "What are they thinking?" They're looking at me, and when I say, "Your head sure is shiny," and her friend said, "What do you put on it?"
Oh Lord! You need to get. They need to come in louder at that point.
They were clearly Gen Alphas. I'm just saying.
Yes,
clearly
Gen Alphas.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next week with Generations.
All right. Thanks for listening.